Southern True Crime Podcast. I'm Kara here with Stu. Say hey, Stu.
Hey.
That's a lovely, uplifting hey, Stuart.
Chicks take it.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, all right, so we're back with you again on this episode. We are going to Georgia, Stu. Did you know that?
That's peach.
It's peach. Life's a peach in Georgia. All right, so we went to Mardi Gras today. I don't know when this episode is going to air because we'll just be transparent with you guys. We have to record in advance just because we have two small children, so we record a lot. You know, we might record multiple episodes in 1 week. But anyways, we went to Mardi Gras today, and we had a good time. Our 2-year-old really got into it. We're going to watch her when she turns 18, make sure she don't end up on Bourbon Street.
Mm-hmm. She
was way too into it, like getting the beads and all that stuff. So
you mean 21?
21, of course. Yeah, of course. Anyways, but yeah, we had a really good time. So if you celebrate Mardi Gras, I didn't know anything. I only thought Mardi Gras occurred growing up in Quiet East, Texas. I thought Mardi Gras only happened in New Orleans. I didn't realize that till I moved here that they had every single town in Louisiana basically has, at least in South Louisiana, because I know there's some towns up north that are kind of like Texas and they don't have it or whatever.
Southern Arkansas
yeah.
up yonder.
Yeah.
Like Monroe.
Yeah, anyways, I didn't realize that you could go to Mardi Gras all over Louisiana.
Yeah, go to Church Point and chase a chicken.
Yeah, you don't have to go to New Orleans, so it's not all like, anybody who hears us talking about like Mardi Gras, it's not like all like flashing the boobs and getting beads and stuff. And even Mardi Gras, we've been to Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and it's not like that at all either, unless you go on like Bourbon Street.
Yeah, Bourbon Street is just pure decadence.
It's every day, every night on Bourbon Street is like that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be Mardi Gras to see some girl flashing to get some beads. Not that I know from experience.
What?
But anyways, if you go to Mardi Gras in New Orleans, it really is it's very crowded, but it is just people throwing beads, and
that's a good time.
It's a family.
If you get a chance to
family-friendly event. Yeah.
Not on Bourbon Street.
Not on Bourbon Street, but on the regular, like where the parades are, it's family-friendly. If you can't make it to New Orleans, you can also go to a Mardi Gras in a regular, like any other town. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, wherever you can go. So
Karen Crow, Youngsville.
Yeah, any small.
Yeah. Homa Thibodeau supposedly got a really good Mardi Gras.
I heard Galveston has a pretty big Mardi Gras too.
I heard that they had one. I didn't know how good it was.
I've never been to it. But anyways, just an FYI. So we had a really good time. It was different going with children, but it was fun. But anyways, that's enough about Mardi Gras, Stu. We could talk about it all day because that's what we were doing all day.
Mm-hmm.
However, we would like for you all to rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. Just some quick business to take care of.
Yes, if you can't...
Yeah, do it right now while you're listening to the episode. It literally takes 10 seconds to do on iTunes, and that would really help us out a lot. We'd really appreciate it.
I mean, if at this moment you can't help us out at Patreon, right now, the best thing you can do for us is rate, review on
the iTunes.
The iTunes or whatever podcast app you're listening to us.
But mainly iTunes, that's where...
Yeah, I've only seen like a couple that actually let you do any commenting or rating.
iTunes is the big one. So anyways, and then we also have, like Stu mentioned, our Patreon. We have a basic level right now that you can join. You'll get the episodes early and ad-free, and then we're working on additional content, but we do have 2 small children, so that's in the process. And then, Instagrams and Facebook. And I have a book club and those things. You can find all that Bless This Mess podcast on all of those things. And I think that's it. Stu, do you have anything else before we get into it?
Why would I have anything else? Did you give me anything else to talk about?
No.
Then I don't have anything else.
You have specific instructions to
shut the fuck up.
All right, so let's get into tonight's case. All right, Candiace Person, née Clemen, was born in 1952. She was one of 5 children, 2 sisters named Jacqueline and Linda, and 2 brothers, Samuel and Anthony. Now, after high school, Candiace would meet a man named Larry, and they would soon marry. They would have 1 daughter. Her name was Tisha, and she was born May 21st, 1972, when Candiace was just 20 years old. So, young couple, young marriage, having kids early, because I had children later, and I can't even imagine 20 years old having a kid because I didn't know what I was doing. But a lot of people do it, and they do it well. And Candiace did it well. So Larry and Candiace, they would later divorce, unfortunately. And Candiace, she was described as quiet and calm. She was very active in her church, Word of Faith Love Center in East Point, Georgia. And she served on the greeting and hosting ministry, Stu. I would definitely not be on the greeting and hosting ministry.
No.
It means you have to be like personable, happy.
Can't be there with your resting bitch face.
Not talk about random murder facts whenever you're greeting people and be like,
hey, did you know who's your favorite serial killer?
Your name's Ted Bundy. Do you know there's a serial killer named that? Like, no. Anyway, so Candiace says she's really friendly, really outgoing, everything. And she was basically, her two big main focuses in life were her faith and then her daughter Tisha after her divorce. Now, she wanted to provide Tisha a much better life than she had had. She raised her as a single mother while working at different schools in the Atlanta area where she was loved by students and fellow staff members. Anywhere she went, everyone just raved about Candiace and how great she was. It seemed that everything that Candiace wanted for her daughter was coming true. Tisha was a very bright girl. She had a promising future. She was making straight A's, and she's college bound. She's doing all the things that you want as a parent for them to do. They had a very close bond, and that bond would be even tighter because Tisha, she actually battled a very serious illness early on in her life. When Tisha was just a teenager, her kidneys began to fail. Now, she was in and out of the hospital and finally in for a very long stay while awaiting a kidney transplant. Like, if she didn't get this kidney transplant, she wasn't going to make it. So she
wasn't coming out of the hospital because she got to the point where she was in, what do they call it, the renal failure? Where the the dialysis
He's
wasn't
making
really
a
working.
Motion. I'm like, I don't know what this motion.
The dialysis
like,
wasn't
save
working
me. And I'm
anymore.
like, I don't know what words you're saying. I don't know what you're thinking.
Dialysis.
I didn't know we don't use this motion that often in our day-to-day life for dialysis.
We use it for...
Stuart, just stop.
Oh.
Anyways, so she was at that point in her illness where she needed a kidney if she was going to continue on. So during that time, Candiace, she's by Tisha's side every step of the way, and this just solidified that close bond that they had as mother and daughter. Tisha, thankfully she did receive that kidney transplant, and she went on to attend college, but her health later declined again, where her mother was her caregiver. So this has been an ongoing struggle for Tisha. Tisha would overcome the latest issues with her health. She would go on to sonographer school in 2003, which Stu had questions about what sonographer is, but it's the people that do. I don't know
if she was working on sonar on a U.S. sub.
No, sonographer. That's the one that does all the like the ultrasounds and things like that. A sonographer. Anyways, so she went on to work at the Northside Hospital work in the Northside Hospital in Atlanta. Candiace was very proud of her daughter and what she had accomplished and overcome with her sickness and everything. And she's doing great. Candiace is feeling great. She's like, I got this daughter who's awesome, doing well in life, doing better than I had done when I was younger, and she's just very proud.
On November 25th, 2005, which was a Black Friday, Candiace spent the day attending and participating in a funeral at her church. She headed home with plans to meet up with her sister the next day so that they could do some shopping.
Small Business Saturday, if you will, Stu. I don't know if that was a thing back then.
I don't think it was.
Now it's like a big thing, like you got Black Friday, which is like the crazy stuff, then the Small Business Saturday, and then you got Cyber Monday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was no Cyber Monday in 2005.
But actually, I had watched a episode of like 2020 or something, and the best deals are the ones that are 1 week before Christmas, not Black Friday. That's when they found that the best deals occur. FYI.
You're just putting it out there for this year?
Just putting it out there, yeah.
Good to know.
So you don't get trampled in Walmart for trying to buy an air fryer on sale or something like that.
You wait till somebody gets one given to them who doesn't want it, and they re-gift it to you.
That's how I ended up with my air fryer.
Yes.
And I know it was a re-gift, which is really dumb on that person's part for even.
But we appreciate it. We still haven't opened it.
We appreciate it. If you have an air fryer, please let me know how that's going for you and if I should open this or resell it.
Or re-gift it somewhere else.
I need to know.
On Saturday, November 26, 2005, Candice's sister began calling her that morning so that they could meet up and go out shopping. Now, the sister was unable to contact Candice, and she started to get worried because this was not like Candice. Candice was a homebody, so she was either at work or at church or she was at home. She would never be out of touch for that long, and she spoke to her family daily. After a growing concern, Candice's sister called Tisha to ask her if she had heard from her mother, and this is around 6:45 that evening. Tisha was concerned as well, and she was headed to her mother's home after she left the hospital where she worked. At around 8 p.m., Tisha arrived at the home at 1943 Marvin Lane in Atlanta, and the home was located in a middle-class neighborhood where crime was not that common, not like a violent crime or anything like that. I'm sure there was some petty crime or something.
I don't know, Stuart.
You don't know?
No, I know. All I know is a safe neighborhood where crime wasn't. Why? I don't know how much petty crime. No crime.
No crime. Not even breaking into vehicles.
No, like when
like zero.
Like someone stole something at our house.
Yeah, when somebody stole my Cadillac converter.
Oh my God! Thank God, nobody's broken to our house yet, thankfully. But someone did steal Stu's Cadillac converter off his work vehicle. It was a very traumatic experience. So I can't even imagine having someone break into the home. That's got to be the worst.
Yeah, so that's...
No, I don't know of any Cadillac converters that were stolen in the neighborhood, Stuart, but no, it wasn't a high crime area. It was very safe.
So they lived in a better neighborhood than us then.
Yes, very safe, very suburban neighborhood. It was not known to have any break-ins or anything like that.
Okay, well, continuing on then.
Yes, please continue.
Tisha unlocks the front door.
Stick to the story, Stuart.
Well, Tisha unlocked the front door using a key that she had.
Yeah, so they're not actually, the reason that is, they're not actually concerned. I mean, they're more on the thoughts of like, maybe Candice had a heart attack or something, something like that. They're not even on the realm of thinking that something nefarious could have happened.
Wait, did something nefarious happen?
Yes, Stuart. Something nefarious.
We haven't got that far. You ought to tell people it's a spoiler alert before
Okay, spoiler alert. Something nefarious happens.
Oh, Jesus.
God.
So Tisha unlocks the front door using the key that she had. Nothing appears out of order until she heads toward her mother's room. In her mother's room, she finds her mother lying on the floor, lifeless. She immediately runs to the phone to call 911, but there's no dial tone. Tisha tries an additional phone in the home, and it was also dead. So she runs out, she grabs her cell phone, and she calls 911.
Now, police and paramedics, they arrive at the scene to find 53-year-old Candice. She was already deceased. The placing of the body was very unusual, as well as the crime scene. That's the first thing that the investigators noticed. There was no sign of struggle. There was no blood. The back door window was broken, which is where detectives believe the perpetrator had actually entered the home. The contents of Candice's purse was strewn about on the floor near the body, and Candice's body was positioned so that her head was on a pillow and her body was covered from the chest down with a blanket. The only signs of injury were bruising around the neck and around the eyes. Now, at first glance, it appeared that she had died from strangulation. That's just what they're going off on a hunch. An autopsy would later officially list the death as asphyxiation. She didn't actually have a ligature mark around her neck, but the bruising indicated like an elbow or an arm was pressed up upon her neck to cause her death. So they didn't have like a belt or a tie or anything. That's how they believe that she died. It was also determined that Candice had been raped. Now, the only clothes she was wearing was her pajama top, her pants, and her underwear had actually been removed. Now, a rape kit was performed and semen recovered from her vagina that would be sent off for DNA processing to see if they could figure out who had done this to her. But the noting of her body being covered with a blanket and like placed there basically is very strange to detectives right off the bat.
Detectives continued to look around the scene, and they found that she was missing some items from her purse, including a credit card and her cell phone. As they processed the scene, they found there were no fingerprints in the house at all, that it had been wiped clean for the most part. Her car was also
Which is
missing.
Very strange. Like, why don't you have any fingerprints at all in your home? Like, I don't understand that. Like, that's what they said, and that's what the court documents said. But I don't understand how you wipe all the fingerprints from your home.
What if
like we touch a lot of things?
What if she was very fastidious, living alone, and she wiped down everything as it was, and the killer just wiped down?
I guess she did live alone, so you probably. Yeah, if you live alone, I didn't think about this. If you live alone, then you probably only touch certain. It's routine. You only touch certain things every day. You don't. You don't really go out of your routine.
No.
There's doorknobs that you touch. I guess when you think about it, there's doorknobs that you touch, like a refrigerator door you touch. Cabinets. So if you go wipe down those things, you should be pretty good. That's the only place they would even look for fingerprints, though. I can't dust the whole house.
I would.
Obviously.
I'd be a good detective.
Oh, you would?
I would dust everything.
You would dust
everything.
Oh, you've been dusting a lot, Stu.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my God. Why do I say these things?
Yeah, I dusted that ass. What?
Go on. Oh, my God. Why do I say these things? People, turn your heads. Close your eyes. Whatever it is. But review us, though.
So, anyway.
On iTunes.
Yeah, well, you ain't got to review us. You can rate us.
Yeah, just rate us.
Her car was also missing, as well as the underwear that she would have been wearing, because they couldn't find any underwear anywhere that had...
This cat. We're not trying to be inappropriate, but we moved into a different room, and like our dog wouldn't let us alone. He was like, "No, you bitches, I'm coming in there with you. I need you guys. I'm just out here with these cats." So we let the dog in here, and we're like, okay, he doesn't have water in here at least, so he won't be like drinking that and making a bunch of noise and everything. That he's just sleeping. He's a very old dog. He's just sleeping under the table. He's good. But Jinx, however,
cannot stand that anybody's partying without him.
He's mad. We're on the other side of the door now, and he's meowing. We're not trying to laugh at a very unfortunate time, so we don't want to hear about it.
We don't need that review.
Yeah.
Again.
So anyways, yes, the specific underwear that they couldn't find. Like, I guess if they're looking for the underwear, it would be somewhere in the room loose. Like it wouldn't be in her drawer or anything like that. So
evidently,
that's what
she kept on track of her laundry too. If there was no
fingerprints, no
dirty laundry.
The person. Well, yeah, there's no dirty laundry and stuff. So it's very obvious. Oh, way to go, Stu. Let's just run this whole thing with hitting the microphone.
Drive it in the ground.
Oh my God, we're doomed. All right, this is a professional podcast. Anyways, no, I'm saying like obviously the underwear was not apparent, the ones that she was wearing, so it was taken from her and put somewhere. They just can't find it. They don't know. If that was your question, Stuart.
It was not my question.
I thought that was your question.
No.
Oh,
that was my statement. That her car and the underwear that they thought she might be wearing were missing.
I thought you said that. I thought you were saying like it was weird that they thought her underwear was missing. No?
Well, I mean, if...
Okay, we've spent way too much time about this woman's underwear. So, all right, we're going to go put Jinxie down and we'll be back. I'm kidding. Please don't come after us, PETA.
No. When searching the outside of the house, they found signs of the break-in. A paper stone was out of place outside, and that was near the back door where the glass had been broken. They also found where the main telephone line near the carport had been ripped from the box and it was cut.
Yes, this was 2005, so people still had the landlines, too.
Yeah.
We don't have a landline.
Anybody knows anything, all you got to do is go straight to that phone box and just disconnect.
Who has a land? Does anybody have a landline now?
I'm sure.
Do we have a landline?
No.
Oh, because they can do internet now through like
cable.
Yeah.
Used
to, you even had to have maybe you didn't have a landline that you used, but you had to have one for the internet.
Yeah, for your AOL dial-up. Bing, bong, psh.
Yep.
Those
were the longest 2 minutes of your life when you're waiting on that.
How would you know? You had dial-up?
Yeah.
Anyway, finding all this and this telephone monkey business happening, police figured that this was premeditated, that the person...
They thought this through. They knew where the phone lines were. They're like, this is how I have to do this.
I'm going to bust this window.
Yeah, there's no doing this in the moment of like passion or whatever that they say is, second degree murder. It's This was a full-on plan if you're going to be cutting phone lines.
I don't know if he planned on murdering her, but he planned on breaking in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And making sure that nobody could call out. The medical examiner could not put the exact time of death. It was determined that she could have been murdered any time in the 24 hours that she was not heard from. However, the fact that she was wearing her pajamas most likely put the murder sometime between the evening into the morning.
Like normal bedtime. Because she'd gone to that funeral and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So sometime in there, that's where they're looking at. 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. when you put your jams on, Stu. Is that when you put your jams on?
I put my jams on. If I ain't working
that day. At 8 a.m. They never come off.
Nope.
But she had plans of going places, though, so.
I have no plans of going anywhere in my life.
Well, she had been somewhere the day before. She had been to the funeral and stuff, so she'd been out and about in the world. So she had a normal pajama time, Stuart, 7, 8 p.m. that night. But moving on from pajama time, they interviewed Tisha, and she saw no one suspicious as she entered the home because she was the first one to find her mother, and she didn't see anything. She also did not know of anyone who would want to hurt her mother. Her mother was not dating anyone, and she lived just a really quiet life, like we said. Work, church, home, that's about it. They also speak to the neighbors, and they saw no one suspicious near the home leading up to the murder. They put an all-points bulletin out, an APB, for Candiace's car. That's a technical term, folks, if you haven't heard it before. They also run the DNA through the CODIS system, and a match is not returned. They also put in a subpoena to obtain the records for her debit card because, like we said, the purse was strewn about the contents, and then they realized that her debit card was actually stolen during this assault.
Now, at this point in time, police have no real leads. They did believe that it was someone that knew Candiace due to the way that they left the body. They took the time to cover the body, which shows that they were concerned about how someone would walk in and see Candiace, and they didn't just want her laying there exposed.
Yeah, like we've heard some serial killers, they want to put the most grotesque way that you can
display a
body, and it's usually like a female, and they'll spread their legs and do things like that, and just it's disgusting and everything. Whoever did this was cognizant of that.
Modest.
Yes, modest, covered up, and maybe felt not to give them any type of anything, but possibly regret or just they knew what they did was wrong.
Yeah, because they did steal the drawers woman too. So
yeah, it's very strange, but yeah, it was a very different crime scene than what they are used to finding with something like this.
So obviously, the police decide they're going to bring in the ex-husband, who still lived in the area, to speak to him. He said he was not in the area on the day of the murder and that he has witnesses.
Conveniently.
Mm-hmm. He also willingly gives a DNA sample. Without any reason to hold him, they let the ex-husband go, and they follow up on his alibi, as well as sending his DNA off for testing.
With all of this, they finally get a break when a call comes in saying that someone found the detective, Stuart.
Oh.
I've already gotten in trouble for repeating things in review. I don't need you to try to trap me with such things.
Trap.
They, as in the detectives, they get a call, and someone has found Candiace's car at the H.E. Holmes, very similar to H.H. Holmes, but not in this other way. H.E. Holmes MARTA station, about 5 miles from her house. The MARTA, it stands for, I had to look this up because I didn't know, Stuart, so I needed to know. I didn't know if it was like a public thing or private thing or whatever it was. But the MARTA stands for the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority. And it is an Atlantic public transportation consisting of buses and trains. Just fun fact, for people that don't live in Atlanta or Georgia, I guess. Anyways, I had to look it up, so that's why you guys are hearing about it. The car was in good shape when police arrived. It had no broken windows or signs of damage or anything that they might suspect of someone having to break into the car and steal it or anything like that. It appeared that the car had been abandoned at the train station due to the car being out of gas. So they're looking at the thing. They're like, okay, it's on empty. Here's what we're piecing together. Officers assumed that the person just pulled in and used the public transit because they needed to go get gas. And they were like, well, fuck it. I don't want to go get gas, so I'm just going to use
driving around in a stolen car. I might as well just park it.
Of this person I just murdered. I might as well just park it here and go ride the train, I guess. So they pull the surveillance cameras. However, of course, it's a public transportation situation. So the video is just terrible. Like, I don't even know why they have video, to be honest with you. I saw the video. It's terrible. It's like grainy gray figures of, you can't even tell who's doing what. It's basically just I mean, you can tell there's humans there, but that's the extent.
So hopefully they've upgraded their camera.
Well, hopefully after this. Then. I mean, it was terrible. It's like, why even have cameras? I see that a lot with things. It's like, oh yeah, we have video cameras of this, and then you pull up the video and they're like, it's like, why do you even have this? What is?
I hope you didn't spend a lot of money on this.
What purpose is this serving? So anyway, so they can't make out any distinguishing features of the people and everything, so it's completely useless. They also processed the vehicle for fingerprints, but just like Candiace's home, there were no fingerprints, no nothing. It had been completely wiped clean, so whoever did this had very much intent to make sure that they did not leave any evidence behind.
Police look into other crimes that were similar to Candiace's murder, but nothing is looking too promising. There was a burglary in the area just a few days after Candiace's murder, but they catch that guy and they bring him in. He denies any involvement and he offers up a DNA sample right away. He just wants to be clear of this murder, catch his burglary rap, and go about his business.
Yeah, he needs to get back out there on the streets so he can burglarize people.
There's shit to be stolen out there.
Yeah.
So they send that off. They book the guy for the burglary charges. The DNA results come back on both the burglar and the ex-husband. Neither were a match. The police were back to square one, and the community, as well as Candiace's family and friends, were getting kind of anxious, wondering if they would ever be able to catch her murderer. The investigation was dragging on and on with no real suspects.
Yeah, and I think I had watched a show when I was researching this, and I think there was another angle they were looking at when they had the guy with the burglary or whatever in the
what?
Burglary? Is that what I said?
Wow.
You know what? You said it wrong a while ago too, and I didn't say anything. But now you got to say something to me.
Well, you know.
I should have said something to you. Instead, I was like, "Oh, it's fine. He's simple.
He's kind of slow."
Anyways, no, there was another thing where there was two older ladies that were murdered in the Atlanta area that were unsolved, but they were much older than Candiace, but none of the motive and the means of killing the ladies wasn't the same, so it ended up not going anywhere. But yeah, it was starting to look like they weren't going to solve this one. In the meantime, while they're tracking down all these leads with this burglary suspect that aren't panning out to anything, a judge does sign off on the subpoena that they need to get Candiace's debit and credit card records, and a month later they receive those statements. Because remember, this ain't an episode of Law & Order. This stuff's taking forever to do.
It sounds like it was taking a month to...
Just to get the state. Well, because you have to get the subpoena, then you got to send it off to the bank, and then they got to pull all the records, and then they got to get it back to you. And depending on what size of the bank was, it could take, if it's a Chase bank, I mean, they got a lot of legal they got to jump through probably.
Well, they got a lot of legal. They're going to sue us if you... I'm just kidding. What? They don't listen to us.
I don't understand
what you're saying that they're slow. They're difficult on the murder cases.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that joke went right over my head, Georgia.
Well, it ain't that hard. You're not that tall.
No, it just wasn't that funny. Anyway, so they find that her debit card had been used shortly after the murder at a convenience store. They go to that store hoping for some video of the person using the card, something better than the one at the public transit system, anything. They are able to obtain a very good image of a man and send that out to the media to see if anyone recognizes him. Now, shortly after asking the public for assistance, they do receive a phone call from a woman who says she knows who that man is, Stuart.
Let me guess, ex-girlfriend.
It is an ex-girlfriend. And she says that his name is Willie Lee Bryant, and he's a ex-boyfriend from several years ago. Now, she had even more shocking tale for police. She said that he had actually raped her when she tried to break up with him almost 10 years prior to this whole situation with murder with Candiace. So they're like, oh my God, we might have our guy. There's a freaking, what is that thing called?
A mosquito hawk.
A mosquito hawk.
It's fine.
Oh my God, it just flew into the page. Okay, so let's take a pause and kill the giant. We're not killing it. We're just going to rehome it.
Yeah, this is like the frog episode all over again.
Oh, don't bring up the frog episode.
People supposedly love the frog episode.
I know they love it, but I hate every single early episode we ever did because it just, oh my God.
Yeah, that was kind of a train wreck.
It was, I was re-listening to the one, which one was the Jeff Davis 8, and we spent a solid, I couldn't even listen to it because I was so embarrassed. We spent a solid 5 minutes just talking about the location.
Of Jenny's, Louisiana?
Yes. I'm like, what are we doing with our lives? This is terrible. But yeah, I started listening to it and I was like, no, abort, no. You know, we've been playing with that deal. We'll keep those older ones for all you people that really, really like us. But we were thinking about re-recording some of the bigger cases just to have better audio and stuff like that because our audio was really terrible.
Well, maybe you ought to put a poll up. See if that's what the people want.
I don't want a poll. I just do whatever I want. I'm like Cartman.
Like Cartman?
Yeah. I do what I want.
I do what I want. Screw you guys. Going home.
Yep.
Okay. Getting back to what's going on. Police bring in Willie's...
Do you know what's going on?
I know what's going on. Okay. I know all. Police bring Willie's ex-girlfriend in so that they can get some more information out of her. She states that when she broke up with Willie, he broke into her home while she was away. He waited for her. When she came home, he attacked her, raped her, and tried to strangle her. That sounds pretty serious.
Yeah.
He eventually stopped, for whatever reason, grabbed her purse, dumped it out, stole her credit card, debit card, whatever it was. She went to call the police, and she found out that the phone lines outside had been cut. She went to the police, and they arrest Willie. However, for reasons we cannot figure out, the prosecutor chose not to go through with the charges, and Willie was let go.
I'm guessing it's because, like, this is sad, but it was 10 years earlier. I'm guessing whatever shitty prosecutor it was at the time, this is just speculation. They're like, oh, it's his girlfriend or whatever. Oh, you can't rape the girlfriend or, you know, like something like that. Because the current prosecutor said there's no reason that crime should not have been...
Prosecuted.
Yeah, prosecuted.
Yeah, so Willie's free to go. Detectives
do this again to somebody else.
Yes. Detectives find the ex-girlfriend's story very compelling, and they had not released all of the details of the murder to the public, including the fact that he cut the phone lines. So for her to mention something that happened in this current murder investigation that this guy had already done, kind of a premeditation
and like pouring
thing.
And the same thing with like dumping out the purse and all that stuff. None of that stuff, those like small details drink had not been mentioned at all. So it's not just the phone lines, she's laying out the entire case of what happened to Candiace to them, but her just 10 years earlier. I mean, it's eerie that what they're listening to.
Yeah, so police are like, hey, we think we got our guy here. And to add to the case against Willie, the woman tells police that after he dated her, he began dating Tisha Person, who is Candiace's daughter, and he dated her off and on for several years. Yeah,
so there's your direct link how Willie has entered Candiace's life and how she's died in this horrific way, and it's matching up exactly with his previous crimes that he's done, that he got away with. Armed with this information, they set out to find old shitbag Willie.
Oh, shitbag? Why gotta be shitbag Willie?
He is shitbag Willie. They found out he worked at a local restaurant. Ew. And you know what? Every time I hear one of these things where it's like, oh, the guy, you know, they catch the guy who did whatever.
Some creepy ass shit.
Yeah,
some
either
perverted
like
ass
raped
shit.
somebody or did something, or even just like weird. And you find out he worked at a local restaurant. And you're like,
where
oh
he
could
have touched your food.
Yes. And you're like, this just disgusts me. I knew a guy. I'm not going to go into the details because it's like
drink.
It's disgusting.
You know where that came
from? But he worked at an
Arby's.
And I couldn't eat at Arby's for probably 10 years after I found out what this guy did. And I knew he worked at an Arby's. And he cut his hand on the meat slicers. That's That's ultimately what did it, was this meat slicer. Anyways, I was a vegetarian for 10 years after that. No lie. Anyways, yeah, so he worked at a local restaurant, so gross. I couldn't find which restaurant, so if you live in this area, you're welcome. I didn't run that restaurant for you. But they got his schedule, and they were able to make an arrest and bring him in for questioning. And they're shocked about what he says. He claims, Stuart.
Tell me.
That himself and Candiace were actually having a consensual sexual relationship while he was dating the daughter Tisha.
I bet they were.
I mean, he's just like a terrible person. He's trying to like defamate her character.
What the hell is defamate?
Defamate?
Defame?
Defamation? Why are you... Words are hard. Defamate?
Sure.
I feel like that's a word. Okay, we're
going to look... Defecate is a word.
Well, he's trying to defecate on her reputation as well. So.
Yes, he is.
Defamate. If not, it's in my new word I made up. Just go.
Like ideal.
Vocabulary is 90% confidence anyway. So defamate. He defamated.
He defamated on her.
Her character after she had been murdered. Anyways, he said that just because you have sex with someone does not mean you killed them. These are his exact words. He also claims that she was seeking him out as well. So he's not just pursuing her, she's pursuing him.
Well, he knows his DNA's there. You got to come up with something.
He's starting to come with the story.
You got to have a story.
Yeah. So he, this is completely off to police from what they knew about Candiace as a person. Like we said, she was a quiet person. She had work. She worked at schools all her life. She was a mother, and she went to church, and she came home. Like, this is not some vixen out in the streets or anything like that, like trying to sleep with her daughter's boyfriend. That's just insane.
Yeah, this is back before the interwebs, before you could live that
this
kind of lifestyle.
This ain't MILF Manor.
MILF Manor.
Yeah, MILF Manor. That's that new show. I'm not watching it. I have some. What's the word? Standards. I did get really into Love Is Blind though. So
yeah. And
then I ventured off to The Ultimatum, which is a sadder version of Love Is Blind. But anyways, so we won't get into that. The cat's meowing. That's Jangles. So they felt that Willie was trying to set up an alibi, like Stu said, for his DNA, why it might be found at the scene, just trying to like throw Candiace under the bus and say she was with me willingly. Willie continues on saying that Candiace actually brought him food on Thanksgiving at a motel and had sex with him. Now, that's a common service that's done, is bring Thanksgiving meal and have sex.
To the Fleabag Motel and have sex.
The motel he mentioned was known to be very, very seedy. Like,
you rent it by the hour?
Yep. Investigators would later check out the motel and found that it was absolutely disgusting. Very dirty, trash everywhere, just gross. Like, they were like, no one would go here willingly. They knew Candiace would never go to such a place. She was an older woman living a quiet life. She kept a clean house. Like, no. He continues to talk, and detectives pick up on something odd, he says, and he tells investigators, these are his words, "You ain't got no underwear. None of my clothes are there." Now, they never mentioned to Willie that Candiace's underwear were missing. Like we talked about earlier, that was one of the things that they noted. There is no way he would ever know unless he had actually taken those underwear to even say that, which is a strange phrase to say. Anyways, it doesn't matter whether you know or not. So anyways, they asked for a DNA sample. He agrees. Of course, he felt comfortable since he had just claimed that he had sex with her the day before or whatever. And he thought, oh, I'm good, Yep. They don't got the underwear.
I got my alibi.
I'm good. We had the Thanksgiving meal. I said we had sex. Like, I mean, he could have picked a nicer motel and said they were at it, but whatever.
You got to prove you were there, though. Yeah. Nicer motel might have a log.
Yeah.
This one did
not have a log. It's like four corners in our town. Did they rip that down?
Yeah, they tore
they did tear that down.
Thank God. Well, I don't know. I kind of like knowing where they were so you could avoid the area.
Yeah, you could avoid it. We don't know where they're at now.
That was
we don't know where the seediness of the town is happening now. It could be anywhere. It could be in our backyard right now. We don't know. They could be in our... Yep.
You do lose a lot of amenities whenever the H turns to an M.
Yes.
Police speak to Tisha Person about Willie. Now, Tisha seems to be shocked that Willie could do such things because according to Tisha, her mother and Willie had a mother-type son relationship.
Which is what you would expect from somebody dating your daughter, that you would take on a parental role with that person, especially someone who's been dating your daughter on and off for several years. I mean, you're going to treat him like a son. Like, that's how you would treat him.
Yeah, familiar. And
he's like being respectful. It's not MILF manner. I mean,
he's being respectful to the mother, and
he's trying. Yeah.
I don't know what guidance she's giving him. We don't really have that information as to, but evidently, according to Tisha, it's a motherly situation. And anyway,
to the extent that he would even call her mom, which is disturbing on another level if he is the one that actually did this, that he's actually calling Candiace mom and everything. I mean, it's...
Yeah, so according to Tisha, her relationship with Willie has been above board. No violence has ever happened or anything like that. Police do send the DNA off for testing, and when the results come back, they're somewhat deflated, but they still feel that Willie is the perpetrator. The DNA sample could not exclude Willie, but it could not be used as a definitive match. So I'm not sure how all the DNA stuff works. We're about to tell you.
We're not DNA scientists.
We're not. So we're just going to tell you what they said.
Although we did look up, and defamate is a word, so
here we go.
Suck it.
Well,
as a DNA scientist would say.
I took a damn ancestry test, so suck it.
Suck it. We took a 23andMe.
I'm a DNA expert.
We're DNA experts.
There was a 1 in 6,000 chance that it could be another African American, and there was a 1 in 10,000 chance that it could be another Caucasian. Investigators still felt strongly about Willie. I feel strongly about my Willie too.
Oh my God.
Based on the...
Oh, Jesus. I wrote otters instead of odds. Okay. So, yeah, I accidentally typed strong about Willie based on the otters information.
I was trying to figure out what that word was.
No, it's the about, I think on the otters. I don't know. Whatever the otters say, Stuart. Whatever the otters say.
May the otters ever be in your favor.
Yes. Anyways, they felt very strongly about this because Willie was African American, so they're saying it's a 1 in 6,000 chance that it's him.
Or a white dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of crazy DNA test is this?
I don't really know.
How do you
Stuart.
screw that up?
I don't know. But they felt it's when you tie in what he had done to his ex-girlfriend and the same exact motive or means and everything like that, cutting the telephone line, all that stuff like that, and then the very small odds that it could be somebody else. I mean, they're saying instead of like 1 in a trillion, it's 1 in 6,000, which is still like pretty good odds.
On July 24, 2009, Willie was indicted in Fulton County for malice murder, felony murder, rape, aggravated assault, and 2 counts of burglary. The trial lasted 1 week, where the prosecutors laid out the case, bringing in the ex-girlfriend to testify, the one that said that he had raped her and cut her phone lines and all that other good stuff. The defense argued that the DNA was not conclusive and that it could have been somebody else, and all they had was circumstantial evidence. I got to learn to talk, I guess.
Yeah, you do. I mean, the defense isn't wrong, Stuart.
No, they're not.
They're not. But it's really bad circumstantial evidence.
Yes. Bad against Willie, that is.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really bad. Like, yeah, it's not looking good for Willie.
Now, the jury...
But it shouldn't look good for Willie. He's a shithead. He's shitbag Willie, as I...
Oh, shitbag Willie. The jury deliberated for 3 days. 11 jurors were ready to convict, but one juror felt the DNA evidence was lacking, and without an eyewitness or a confession, they did not feel comfortable convicting.
They just didn't know that eyewitnesses are just, like, terrible,
They don't have the stats, the scientific stats on eyewitnesses?
No, they don't. Well, we know now that eyewitnesses are not that great. Although, like I like to always bring up, I did witness
Here we go with the
Stu's
burglary.
rolling his eyes. It's my one true crime. I was in it, people. I was in the show. I was doing the thing. I was part of the group. I was doing it. I did witness an armed robbery. I didn't witness the actual thing happening, but you know where my statement came in is because I did memorize the license plate number because that's who I am. So you better watch out. If you're committing a crime wrong, Kara, think twice.
We'll memorize your license plate, possibly the color and make and model of your
I'm going to go write it down just in case. I still remember telling my dad, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to write this number down. I still remember seeing it on my dresser. I was like, I'm just going to write it down just in case. We'll see what happens.
Maybe something,
and
maybe
come
nothing.
to find out, I was right. Per usual.
Now, getting back to our case, the judge declared a mistrial.
Not how great I am of a crime solver.
No. You want to do a podcast on that one incident?
Maybe.
We're going to do 100 series episode.
I need to find out what happened to them. Apparently they were robbing people left and right up in Texas. Yeah.
Are you done?
I'm done now.
Okay. The judge declared a mistrial, and the family was heartbroken. They were afraid that old Willie was going to get away with the crime.
You know, I almost made it on a jury too, Stuart.
Oh, Jesus.
I finally got called for jury duty, people, and I was freaking 9 months pregnant, and they dismissed me. I didn't even have to bring a note. I didn't have to do anything. They were just like, oh,
bye.
You can go. Bye. But I've been trying to get on jury duty forever. I would not have let this man go, Stuart. I would have just been like, send him off. For life.
You would have convinced that 12th juror.
Yeah, I would have convinced them. We'd like browbeat them into.
They're like, bitch, we ain't leaving this jury room until you change your mind.
I might have this baby in here with you. You best get it together. Yeah, for sure. Now, in February of 2010, Willie Bryant, he went back on trial for the murder of Candiace Person. Prosecutors relied more heavily on the ex-girlfriend's testimony and the similarities between them. They just really played up that whole thing where they're like, hey, this is exactly what happened to her, and now he's done it again to Candiace. They also painted a better picture of who Candiace was, how she was an older woman who very much loved her daughter, her work, and her church, and she would never in a million years have had this sexual relationship with Willie, her daughter's boyfriend. I mean, it's just completely just ridiculous that he would even say that. The defense, again, they leaned on that inconclusive DNA evidence. And the jury went into deliberation for less than a day this time, and they came back with a guilty verdict. So it was just that one fucker on the first jury that had a real problem. Because, we're talking about 24 people at this point in time, and only one had a problem. I need to see who that person is, and we need to stay away from them because they obviously sympathize with the freaking murderer and rapist. Anyways, but that's the way of the world. So.
Well, you already said that they weren't wrong about the DNA.
They weren't, but still. On Monday, February 15th, 2010, Willie was sentenced to life in prison plus 20 years. In October of 2013, Willie did appeal his conviction on the grounds that his counsel was ineffective, which is the classic thing you do. If you don't have anything else to go on, you just say ineffective counsel.
My counsel sucked.
Yep. Due to not obtaining, he's saying that it was ineffective because they did not obtain a DNA expert to testify for the defense. Now, the courts, they came back with a denial, and Willie Bryant is currently serving out his term at the Autry State Prison in Pelham, Georgia, thankfully. Now, this story does have a very sad ending besides the fact that it's sad anyways. But Tisha Person, Candiace's daughter, we had talked about her kidney issues and everything like that. She did adopt a daughter, Kamora Elizabeth, in 2007. This was just 2 years after her mom's passing. Now, unfortunately, tragedy would continue to strike the family. And on September 2nd, 2012, Tisha would pass away, leaving her daughter behind. And like I said, I couldn't find out how she passed or anything like that, but she was suffering from these health issues. So I'm assuming it was probably kidney related or something. All right, so that's our case for tonight. Sorry, my voice was starting to go out, but yes, Candiace.
Like you had a frog in there.
It's very, yes, Stuart. Speaking of, or not to
toot your own
divert
horn.
From the, no, not to divert from the case, but I just saw the mosquito hawk from earlier. We did not kill it. And it did actually have a mosquito in its little talons.
And we did not rehome it.
We did not rehome it. It's still in our home. But it was flying around and it had a mosquito in it. So I guess that's what they do. They trap them with their legs, their thunder thighs.
Maybe.
I don't know. But it had something carrying between his legs and he was flying off to do whatever with it. So we don't judge.
Whoopee.
We don't judge whatever you do, Mosquito Hawk. But anyways. But so yeah, that's our case for tonight. Yes, Candiace, very sad. She was just a mother who wanted better for her daughter. She accomplished that, strong in her faith and everything like that. And then this shitbag Willie came into their life and just destroyed it. And it's a shame because he should have been off the streets from the ex-girlfriend that he raped 10 years earlier. And it's just a shame that he was out there able to do such a thing. So, anyways, moving on from that. So on a lighter note to try to end this, Stu, do you have a yawning Jesus? Maybe a very good story that possibly a very beautiful woman sent you. Possibly. I didn't read the story, but
possibly.
The headlines just grabbed me in.
Yes. Some chick sent me a story.
Chick.
But was that from you?
Yes.
Oh. But she read the headline. She did not read the story.
No, I didn't read the story, so I don't know.
So she don't even know where it happened.
No, I don't know anything. I just read the headline. I was like, okay, this is a yawny Jesus moment.
Yes. Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Well,
are you ready?
I'm not ready. But
Florida or not Florida?
Okay.
Couple celebrates 57 years married despite multiple murder attempts.
Multiple. Okay, I do remember reading that. I'm gonna say I'm torn because that's a long-term commitment for Florida. Like 57 years. I mean, they don't do that shit down there.
Mm-mm.
But they do try to kill their spouses multiple times. So I'm gonna go with Florida.
All right, and this is from WFMZ staff, published February 17th, 2023, a retrospect on a couple from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania, come on.
Yeah, they got some good shit going on there. I read the story, then I had to read the sidetrack, then I had to look at the other sidetrack. I'm going to have to watch a movie. I mean, this whole story could be...
We're going to have to watch a movie. We're going to have to watch a movie?
For what? I mean, it's entertainment. Sounds like something to be funny.
No, I'm saying we're going to have to watch a movie. You said I'm going to have to watch a movie. Like you spend your evenings alone or something.
Well, you watch shit without me.
Oh, this
all
is
the time.
True. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I watched Love is Blind today without you. Or The Ultimatum today without you. Apologies.
Yeah, I don't know if you would like this movie.
I did watch ahead with Breaking Bad, and I've never heard the end of it.
Well, I didn't get you flowers the first time I met you, and I never heard the end of that. and that's been way longer than ago.
He did get me 2 sets of flowers today, but
well, I didn't even do anything.
That was due to a Valentine's fuck up.
What?
Not on your part, on the
floral
delivery people's part. Anyways,
because you weren't in town.
Moving on.
Okay. Allentown, Pennsylvania, WFMZ. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. A Pennsylvania couple insists their unusual romance is proof of that, even though one tried to kill the other, like for reals. The story
is that the article says for reals?
No, it does not.
Okay. Just making sure.
It does say the other for real, though. No Z.
No Z. Well, it lacks all the conviction without the Z.
I'm telling you. Their story even caught the attention of Hollywood because it's a love story. This year, Tony and Frances Toto will celebrate 50 years of marriage. We've been blessed that we had together all these years. There was one time when we had some rough times. Tony Toto. This is going to be hard to say Tony Toto. Described. When Tony Toto says they had a rough time, he's putting it mildly. The year was 1983.
If the headline is they tried to kill each other multiple times, I think that's a bit much more than a rough time. A rough time is you disagree on some finances, not I tried to stab you.
It didn't say they tried to kill each other multiple times. It said there was multiple murder attempts.
Oh, okay.
So, the year is 1983. Tony and Francis Toto had 4 kids. They owned a pizza shop, but he strayed from the marriage.
Oh, a pizza shop. Oh, yeah. Pizza sounds so good right now.
It does. And she found out that he was getting a little frisky with some other ladies.
He was sticking his pepperoni where it didn't belong.
Uh-huh. And she was about to slice off that salami.
Lorena Bobbitt style.
Uh-huh. What happened next was like something out of a movie. One that Hollywood probably made.
Because they don't have any original ideals anymore. Let's face it, people.
And they did make. Hollywood thought so too. They turned the Toto's troubles into a feature film called I Love You to Death. That we're going to have to watch at some point.
Okay.
I'm sure they take a little ad lib with some of the stuff
going
on.
Okay, well, that's fine.
It's starring Kevin Kline, Tracy Ullman.
Those are kind of, I recognize those names, so that's kind of like.
Keanu Reeves.
No.
Yes. And River Phoenix.
Oh my God, he's dead.
Before he went tits up, yeah. While not everything in the movie is accurate, no shit, Frances Toto did hire teenage hitmen to help her try to kill her husband 5 times.
Hasn't?
5 times? Including failed attempts to blow up his car and attack him with a baseball bat.
Classic.
Yeah, classic Frances. One night, Frances Toto put a bottle of sleeping pills in her husband's food, and then the hitman shot him. Twice. One in the back of my head, and then the bullet went through my chest, Tony Toto said. Because of the pills, Tony Toto's system slowed down. He was in a daze and says he didn't feel a thing, believing his wife when she told him that he had the flu.
You know what? I'm going to interrupt with an Everest fact.
Oh, Jesus Christ almighty.
I'm still real into Everest. I'm reading a lot of books. I'm watching a lot of documentaries and everything like that. There was a little girl. Children have a specific physiology to them or whatever. There have been children that have fallen into ice cold lakes. One girl was submerged for over an hour, came up, and they were able to warm the body back up, and she survived. She was dead for an hour under the ice, but it basically like.
What's that got to do with Mount Everest? Or the story I'm telling?
Because I'm just talking about like how some people on Mount Everest will get up there, they do their climb, they do it all or whatever. They do their final pitch to the top or whatever.
Ascent.
And
I think that somebody knew so much about Everest and knowing that they
Stuart, don't fucking
ascent.
start with me about the goddamn camps and everything. Would you like me to talk about all the camps and all the things that go do? You need 2 oxygen bottles. That's what you take up to the top. You got 18 hours to make it to the top and back down to Camp 4.
Well, anyway. What the people need to do is follow us at Bless This Mess Mount Everest Ascent podcast that evidently we're starting.
Anyways, no, I was just saying that it came up in a discussion on a book I was reading.
Are you going to circle this back, girl?
Come on, about how like his sleeping pills actually allowed him to survive this because it put his body in a state that he wasn't in like a trauma shock situation.
Where he was bleeding out.
Yes, his body actually slowed down. And that's what people on Mount Everest that actually start to freeze to death, sometimes they'll just like pop back up like zombies, and they'll just be like, ah, and they'll just
gotcha, bitch, as the great Dave Chappelle would say.
Be like, gotcha, bitch, and I made it back, and they'll just like continue on, and they survive. Anyways, that just reminded me of it, Stuart, because I'm real into Everest right now. I will never climb it, but I'm real into it.
I didn't even know we were still doing that.
We got to still go to the Everest base camp.
Yeah.
That's like low key 17,000 feet above.
That's our other podcast. That's going to be our travel podcast.
Yes.
That we're starting next week.
Just kidding.
Are we?
Yes. Okay, go on about the thing. I'm sorry I derailed on the Everest.
I don't think you are. Okay. So, blah, blah, blah. Sleeping pills. Believed his wife when she said, Tony, you got the flu. He's like, cool. This one is still... The one in his head is still there, according to Tony. I don't think it was... I don't think I was thinking straight. It was like a love-hate kind of thing, Francis Toto said.
Yeah, I think you love and hate someone if you want to murder them.
Yeah, if you've hired somebody, you put sleeping pills in there and had somebody come in and shoot him twice. After 5 days, police found out about the plot.
Why are there sleeping pills, though? Why not just shoot him twice?
I don't know.
That
way he can't run. He can't dodge and weave.
Dodge and weave. Bob and weave.
You got a teenager. He might get a little itchy and just start shooting into the walls. You get the guy passed out. The guy comes in, pulls. Maybe Francis didn't want to pull the trigger. Whatever. After 5 days, police found out about the plot and they arrested Francis Toto and the teenage hitman. Tony Toto spent 12 days in the hospital. The first thing he did when he was discharged was... Are you ready?
I'm ready, Stu.
He bailed Francis out of jail.
Oh, true love.
It is, isn't it?
True love.
True love.
I've never seen the movie, but Stu quotes it all the time.
And then we both cry and we said to each other, from now on, let's talk. Let's talk. Let's communicate better.
I've seen this show on Netflix.
Something that we should have done it before. So that was what was missing.
Oh, they were just communication.
It was a communication problem.
This has been an issue on Love is Blind as well. Communication.
Rat actually made a song called Lack of Communication. And that was probably about this.
Okay, I don't know who that is or what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Tony and Francis Toto say that tearful moment was a new beginning for their relationship and it helped them stay on track.
Oh. I just need to try to kill Stu and then we'll just be okay.
Well, they got counseling. So
okay. Therapy fixes all.
Now, this is the words of Tony Toto. Did I forgive? ? Yes. Nothing happened to me. Really? Dude, you got shot twice. I don't know what the hell's happening.
But nothing really
She tried
happened.
To blow you up. Blow your car up with you in it.
Trying to blow you in the way you didn't want to be.
Yeah. It's okay. Don't do it again. Take it easy, Tony Toto said. But Francis Toto had to pay for what she did. She spent 4 years in prison and talked to her spouse on the phone every day.
This is true love, Stuart.
This is psychopathy.
They've been together for 57 years.
I'm leaving your ass if you try and kill me 5 times.
Well, that's not true love then. You suck.
Then in 1990, a silver lining to their dark cloud.
Aww.
I Love You to Death hit theaters. Tony and Francis Toto traveled to movie premieres around the world and were featured in thousands of newspaper and magazines articles.
And a podcast, Stuart, a #1 podcast such as ourselves.
I know. #1 podcast in the world.
Nobody understands that.
Well, you got to say recorded in this house.
Recorded in this house.
The couple says they know their situation is a 1 in a million, and many people won't agree with it.
1 in a trillion, folks.
Yeah, many people will not agree with it or understand it.
We will not.
Including these two right here. While they stopped talking publicly about what happened long ago, they wanted to share their story now as an extreme example of the importance of communication in marriage.
So they're trying to teach us all a life lesson?
Yes. If we could help 1 or 2 families, it's worth it, Tony Toto said.
Are these people insane? Yes, obviously, because she tried to kill him multiple times and failed, and they're still together.
It was just a rough patch in the marriage. It was like a year of rough.
Communication is like saying they're like saving relations. These people are insane.
Yeah, what I'm hearing Francis and Tony saying is he should have been like, honey, I want to bang other chicks in this marriage. I'm just letting you know I'm going to step outside the marriage.
What is that? What he did?
That's why she tried to kill him. Yes.
Oh, because he cheated?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. I was too focused on her trying to kill him.
Were you, or were you like looking at your phone or something while I was telling you the story?
Stuart, I don't know. We don't have good communication. We're on the verge of being Tony and Toto or whatever the fuck their names were.
Francis and Tony. The Totos from Kansas.
The Totos? Oh, they're the Totos from Kansas.
Well, they're the Totos from Pennsylvania.
All right, well, moving on. Okay, we can't we can't fix this. So
next week we're going to do a podcast about Tony and Francis Todak.
We could do their whole life story, but they're from Pennsylvania.
Actually, this short story is probably all there is to it.
All right. Anyways, all right. So I guess, do you have anything else to add, Stuart?
Do I really need to add anything else?
No, you don't. Follow us on the Instagrams or like us on the Facebook, whatever the terminology is these days. Check out our Patreon. Write us a review. If you've listened this long, it means that you like us. So please write us a review.
Yeah, if you ain't written one yet.
You suck.
And you're still here.
We hate you. No.
Yeah, if you don't write us a review, you're dead to us.
You're dead to us. All right, so we will see you next time. Bye, everyone. Say bye, Stu.
Bye, Stu.
Don't you know it's bye?